just going to take a quick pause and continue to monitor the trial of Derek Chauvin taking place there in Minneapolis. I want to bring into the conversation to help us evaluate what we're seeing so far. Joyce Vance, former U.S. attorney and an NBC News contributor, retired Los Angeles Police Department Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey. Joyce, I'll begin with you. I want to get your general takeaways so far of what we've seen, particularly with this second witness. The first witness that we saw, the 911 dispatcher, a very straightforward presentation, if you will, trying to establish a timeline. What do you make of this prosecution's witness, 23-year-old Alicia, I believe, Euler, who worked at the Speedway across the way from Cup Foods?
This might seem like a curious piece of testimony for folks who've been watching it, but this is a building block. Miss Euler apparently took much of the bystander video that we've seen. She had this perspective from across the street of the three officers as they begin to hold Mr. Floyd prone. So what they're really doing is authenticating the video, clarifying her opportunity to observe and to make the video in real time, so that the prosecution will be able to offer those videotapes into evidence and have them admitted as items that the jury will be able to consider when they deliberate.
Joyce, the prosecutor, Steve Fleischer here, he's almost going down to a granular level, a minute-by-minute account of what she saw throughout the course of what we now know are 9 minutes and 29 seconds.
He is, and it seems very detailed, but she will have to say that it's a true and accurate depiction of the events that she observed before this videotape can come into evidence that this is the videotape that she made. So he's watching it with her, so she'll be able to attest to that fact.
Sergeant Dorsey, I'm curious to get your thoughts here. If we go back earlier in the afternoon, we saw the defense attorney question the 911 dispatcher about a phone call she made to the sergeant in which she expressed her concerns about what she was witnessing. Can you talk to us just from your experience about that, the role of the 911 dispatcher in the chain of events that ultimately led to what we are witnessing right now?
Well, she testified that she was able to, from her position at work, view a video that was recording what was occurring on the street. And based on her training and experience as a 911 operator, she knew what she was seeing was problematic. And so the defense attorney was trying to create subterfuge and deflect and get one juror is all he needs to agree with him that she wasn't really clear on what she saw and she doesn't understand use of force. And so therefore, her representation is not to be believed. But when we look at the video now, we see, in addition to what that 911 dispatch operator saw, Chauvin and his partner showing up and putting on black gloves, Eamon. And I always say, when officers put on black gloves, they're about to put in work. And then we see them drag him out of the car. Why? All they had to do really at that point was drive off and take him wherever they were going to go. They took him out of the car so that they could do just what they did, punish him for, now we know, over 9 minutes for reasons that we'll probably never understand.
Yeah, and to our viewers who are just tuning in, it is just 3 minutes past 4 o'clock. My colleague Nicole Wallace will pick up our coverage momentarily. Sergeant Dorsey, I do have a follow-up question for you, and it perhaps is a glimpse, if you will, into the defense strategy here, and that was the argument, and I'm paraphrasing here, the argument earlier today essentially focused on the police not having enough capability to draw their attention away from the crowds that were gathering to tend to the medical condition of George Floyd. It seemed, at least from the line of questioning from the defense, that they were preoccupied and concerned with the gathering crowds while at the same time dealing with their suspect there. Are you convinced by that argument when you see the totality of what we know so far?
That's the narrative that the defense wants to create, but we can see with our own eyes that there was one officer, Tao, who was paying attention particularly to the crowd, and the other three, Chauvin in particular, was watching intently, admiring, if you will, his work as he sat there for all those minutes on Mr. Floyd's neck. And so they weren't concerned about the crowd lynching Mr. Floyd and taking him out of their care. They weren't concerned about providing any care. Derek Chauvin was mainly focused singularly on punishing Mr. Floyd, sitting on his neck, applying pressure, and
9 minutes and 29 seconds. He was pinned down against that pavement. Joyce Vance, Cheryl Dorsey, thank you both for your quick analysis on what we've seen of day one of the Derek Chauvin trial.